G'day everyone, my name's Cautious Pancake, and since version 2 has made some changes to loot bags, for today's video let's jump in, have a look at how they work and what's changed. Starting off with the basics, pretty much all zombies in the game have a chance to drop a loot bag when killed. The loot bags come in 3 different types: the basic yellow, mid-tier blue, and top-tier red. However, although this is the basic bit, already there's a change, and that's the fact that yellow bags aren't all the same anymore. With 2.0, there are specially themed yellow bags for nurses, utility workers, soldiers, skateboarders, and bikers. Although just to confuse matters, the skateboarder and biker both drop the same special yellow bag. The themed special yellow bags look identical to the normal yellow bags, the difference is purely in what they contain, and we can go into that in more detail later, but for now, let's confirm who drops what. Yellow bags are dropped by most zombies. The normal, feral, and rad versions of the following zombies all drop yellow bags: Arlene, Marlene, Darlene, Party Girl, Joe, Steve, Tom Clark, Businessman, Burnt, Spider, Bo, Hazmat, Janitor, Inmate, Yo, Mo, Lab, Utility Worker, Nurse, Mutated, and Crawler. Except, of course, that there's no Rad Crawler. The 2 new zombies, being the Plague Spitter and Frostclaw, also drop yellow bags for their normal, feral, and rad versions. There is also some edge case zombies, like the Biker, Skateboarder, Screamer, and Soldier. These drop yellow bags for normal and feral zombies, but the blue bags for the radiated ones. The whites are also in this category, except of course that there's no normal white, so it's just a yellow bag for the feral and a blue for the rad white. Then there's the big zombies: Lumberjack, Big Mama, Hawaiian, Bowler, and Cop. These all drop blue bags for their normal, feral, and rad versions. Lastly, the red bag. This is only dropped by demos, dire wolves, zombie bears, and Grace. Now I can hear a few of you saying, did you forget about the new charged and infernal zombies? Well, thank you for paying attention, Sarah Madam. Let's talk about them now. The short version is that all charged and infernal zombies, regardless of zombie type, will drop a blue bag, which sounds a bit ho-hum, but to understand the real difference, we need to talk about drop rates. Back in 1.0, the basic drop rates for yellow bags were set at a base rate of 2% for normal zombies and 3% for ferals and rats. In 2.0, however, the base rate was set originally to 5%, but was reduced back down to 4% in build 292, which also applies now to all feral and rads as well. So now we have the same 4% drop rate for yellow and blue bags, dropped by normal, feral, and radiated zombies across the board. I don't know about you, but it certainly feels buffed when playing now. There's a lot more loot bags dropping compared to what there was. Now, for the charged and infernal zombies, which you'll remember only drop blue bags, these new zombies have a massive 10% drop rate chance, which I think is a pretty nice reward given their increased difficulty. This is the same across all zombie types, so if it's a glowy blue or orange zombie, you should be seeing a blue bag drop from these pretty regularly. The red bag drop rates have also had some changes. For demos it's still 30% like it was before, but dire wolves and zombie bears are now 50%, leaving Grace the only one with a guaranteed chance. You'll always get a red bag from that little piggy. Next, let's talk about bag content. For the most part, the basic yellow, blue, and red bags have the same content in 2.0 as they did in 1.0, and as such, I've included this chapter as a replay from my last video for all of you new players watching, or in case you need a refresh. But if you already know all of this, I've added chapter markers for you to skip ahead to the changes. All loot bags have 5 different categories of items that they can drop, with some small changes in between, as well as differing amounts of each category. For example, the yellow bag will always contain between 3 and 5 items, where the 3 guaranteed items come 1 each from category 1, 2, and 3, followed by about a 50% chance of getting a category 4 item, and a 20% chance of getting a category 5 item. Now, what are the categories, you might ask? Well, category 1 is always ammo, which will include one of 9mm, 7.62, shotgun shells, or 44 ammo, with the size of the stack increasing as your loot stage increases. Category 2 is the miscellaneous or junk group. When a category 2 item is selected, you will get one of the following: some brass, cobblestone, glue, a medical item, a drink, a can of food, duct tape, mechanical parts, and acid. If the medical item is selected for this category, you will get one of the following in order of decreasing probability: vitamins, painkillers, steroids, blood bag, first aid bandage, plaster cast, and antibiotics. If the drink item is selected, you'll get one of the following with equal probability: yucca juice, goldenrod tea, red tea, coffee, and beer. And if the food option is selected, you'll get one of any of the can of foods selected at random. Category 3 is your book category. In this, you'll either get a book or 2 skill magazines. If you get the book option, you will get any one of the perk books in the game, a schematic for a mod or general item, with the tier of the schematics increasing as your loot stage increases, a vehicle schematic, or a single skill magazine. So whilst those are the first 3 guaranteed categories for a yellow loot bag, category 4 and 5 are optional. For category 4, in this category, there are 5 different subcategories to pick from, which all have different items within them as well. The 5 subcategories of category 4 are tools, armor parts, crafting mats, and a second lot of rarer armor parts. The most likely categories are the tools and the armor. Within the tools subcategory, you will have the chance to get any of the tools within the game, starting from the stone axe and shovel, all the way through iron, steel, and motor tools. These are obviously going to scale with your loot stage throughout the game. For the armor section, this is an interesting one. Above loot stage 15, you can get any of the pieces of armor in the game scaled to your level, or you can get an armor crafting part, which includes cloth, leather, sewing kits, armor parts, and legendary parts. The actual armor parts subcategory of category 4 is also a repeat of that, with a chance to get cloth, leather, sewing kits, armor parts, and legendary parts. Remembering, of course, that you can only get one of each of the subcategories selected. The crafting mats is a selection of 5 to 10 forged iron or forged steel, and the final rarer armor parts is a chance to get either the sewing kits, armor parts, an actual armor crafting kit, and again, legendary parts, but this time up to 2 of them. So that's category 4, one of the most complicated categories that you can get. And finally, there's category 5, which is your special rewards category. Within this, you have a chance to get one of the following: a rare tool, which is basically still just the tools category, but with a higher chance of getting the better tier tools. A weapon, which includes all melee and ranged weapons from the starter weapons all the way through to sniper rifles, rocket launchers, and auto shotguns. A mod, which will pick from all mods, with the lower tier mods more likely to be provided than the rarer ones, with the rarest ones being things like the cigar, treasure hunter mod, and other stat bonus mods. You could also get dukes, cash, a rare medical item, which includes a first aid kit, fort bites, recog, and antibiotics, a treasure map, a night vision mod, and a helmet light mod. So that was a lot to take in, and I hope it all made sense. To help, let's go through a couple of examples of the yellow loot bags. I'm currently loot stage 36. Within this one, we've got 4 items this time. So we've got our category 1 ammo. From the category 2 junk group, we got the Yucca Juice. From the category 3 books group, we got rifle magazines. And category 4, we actually got this time with 8 forged steel coming through. So that's not too bad. In the other bag, we've actually hit all 5 items. So we've got category 1, the shotgun shells, category 2 junk, we got the medical item, category 3 books, we got the handgun magazines, category 4 tools, we got the stone axe, and the category 5 special category, we got a tier 1 stone shovel, which isn't particularly special, but that's the way it rolls sometimes. Moving on to the blue loot bags, thankfully a lot of what we talked about before reapplies here. At a high level, you will get 1 category 1 ammo piece, 2 lots of the category 2 miscellaneous or junk items, with the only difference here being that the blue item removes the chance to get cobblestone, 2 lots of the category 3 book items, which is the same content as the yellow bag, 1 of the category 4 tool items, which is optional in the yellow loot bag but is guaranteed in the blue, and finally a 20% chance of getting a category 5 item, which is the same as the optional category 5 item in the yellow, except that it also adds in the chance to get vehicle parts for all vehicles, including the gyro, and some more vehicle mods. The vehicle items are limited by loot stage, so you can't get a gyro item when you first start, and it also increases the coin and cash to between 400 and 600 each, rather than the 200 to 400 of the yellow bag. So taking a look at some of the blue loot bags that we've dropped, here we've got our 1 category 1, our 2 category 2s of the junk, we've got the food and the duct tape, 2 lots of category 3 books, where we've got an automatic weapons handbook and an armored up, and from the tools category 4, we got a stone shovel. We didn't get a category 5 in this one. For the other blue bag, similar again, 1 category 1 ammo, 2 category 2 junk, 2 category 3 books, and a category 4. Neither one of those did we get the category 5. And lastly, for the red bags, here you'll get 2 lots of Category 1 ammo, 2 lots of Category 2 junk, but with the added chance of getting 2 to 3 supercorn within those, 2 lots of the Category 3 books, 1 lot of the Category 4 armor, but removes one of the chances to get the kind of boring armor parts piece that includes the cloth, leather, and sewing kits. There's still one of those chances in there, but at least some of it is gone. And finally, the special category is bumped up from 20% to 50% chance of getting a Category 5, but it also adds in a new book category which is aimed at the higher tier schematics and also includes books and standard books and skill mags. It changes the weapons to remove all of the stone weapons so you can't get those, and increases the coins and cash to between 600 and 800 each. Okay, and lastly, checking out some of the red loot bags. For this one, we got 2 of our Category 1 ammo, 2 of our Category 2 junk, 2 of our Category 3 books, and a Category 4 tool, which isn't very nice. The red bag's Category 5 removes the chance of getting a stone tool, but not the Category 4. Okay, what do we get here? We've got 2 Category 1 ammos, 2 Category 2 junk, 2 Category 3 books, a Category 4 stone tool, and a Category 5 special. We got an extra magazine. Okay, so in 2.0, the only change for yellow bags comes if you've got the bookworm talent from Intellect Mastery Level 2. If you do, you'll have the described 25% chance of getting an additional book. This change applies to blue and red bags as well. However, for the red loot bags, there is also another additional change. In the Category 2 junk category, where the red bag has the same items in the junk category as the yellow bags, but also adds that chance of 2 to 3 supercorn seeds. If you open it in the wasteland, there's now another 2 options that come into play. One of which is a single supercorn seed, and the other is to gain 1 or 2 actual supercorn. So if you're having any issues getting the supercorn together that you need for the atomic smoothies, I'd recommend doing a few short incursions into the wasteland at night, where you're more likely to run into dire wolves and use this increased chance to get supercorn seeds or food from the red bags when looting them in the wasteland. So that's the core bags, but what about the new yellow themed bags for 2.0? As a reminder, when you get a yellow bag from one of these zombies, you'll always get the theme bag. To start off with, let's have a look at the nurse bag, as this one's a little bit different from the rest of them. In this bag, you'll get 2 to 4 medical items, 1 medical magazine, and the 25% chance for an additional magazine if you have the bookworm perk. That applies to all of the rest of the yellow bags, so I won't touch on that one again. But for the medical items, the reason the nurse bag is special, these 2 to 4 items can come from 2 separate groups. The first group, which has a high probability of being selected, has a chance to give you, in order of decreasing probability, a bandage, sewing kit, aloe cream, blood bag, glue, some jukes, some cash, one of the drinks, which is the same as the normal yellow bag drinks group, some food, which is the same as the normal yellow bag food group, and a medical splint. The second option, which these 2 to 4 items could come from, has a very low probability of being selected, which we pick from the following: vitamins, painkillers, steroids, first aid bandage, plaster cast, honey, and herbal antibiotics. Taking a look at one of the nurse bags, you can see that I've got 2 items from the common category, which was the cash and the blood bag, and one of the medical journal magazines. The next special themed bag to look at is the utility worker, which has a slightly different structure and is the same as all of the rest of the theme bags. For this, you'll still get the 2 to 4 items from the first category. However, this will only come from a single group of items. You'll then get the 1 guaranteed magazine, which comes from a themed group of magazines and books. For the utility worker, the 2 to 4 items will come from the following group in order of decreasing probability: nails, metal pipes, springs, oil, glue, dukes, cash, drinks, food, electrical parts, mechanical parts, duct tape, steel parts, and steel sledgehammer parts. The guaranteed book or magazine will come from harvesting magazines, repair tools, salvage tools, sledgehammers, and workstation magazines, as well as the Sledge Saga books, Art of Mining books, and Wasteland Treasure books. The third custom yellow bag is for lab zombies, giving 2 to 4 items selected from the following: springs, oil, glue, dukes, cash, drinks, food, sewing kit, vitamins, painkillers, electrical parts, mechanical parts, duct tape, robotic parts, and first aid bandage. Then there's the guaranteed magazine or book, selected from the following: workstation magazines, robotics magazines, wiring, electrical traps, vehicles, and medical magazines. The other one is the Tech Junkie book. And lastly, just for something a little different, in this yellow bag, which is unique from all of the others, is the last potential item, which is for the drone. This subcategory, if selected, will give one of the 6 following items, the first being a fairly boring robotics magazine, but the other 5 are the schematics for the drone mods. The cargo mod, medic mod, headlamp, armor plating, and morale booster mod. Remember that this last group has a chance to be selected against all of the other magazines, and if picked, only one of those 6 items will be returned, so target lab zombies and their yellow bags as one option for trying to get the drone mod schematics. The second last yellow theme bag to look at is the soldier, which has the same overall structure as the utility worker, with 2 to 4 items coming from a group that will contain the same ammo group as used in all of the bags, jukes, cash, painkillers, steroids, first aid bandages, drinks, food, armor parts, duct tape, handgun parts, rifle parts, shotgun parts, machine gun parts, and rocket launcher parts. The magazine that you'll get will come from handguns, shotguns, rifles, machine guns, explosives, vehicles, and armor, as well as the urban combat books, pistol books, enforcer books, shotgun messiah books, snipers, and automatic weapons books. And finally, what they call the thug bag, which is used for both skateboarders and bikers, will have 2 to 4 items coming from a group that will contain ammo, jukes, cash, steroids, pipe bombs, Molotov cocktails, drinks, food, armor parts, pistol parts, rifle parts, shotgun parts, machine gun parts, and rocket launcher parts. The guaranteed magazine for this one is probably one of the most broad groups and contains magazines for clubs, knives, pistols, shotguns, rifles, machine guns, explosives, vehicles, and armor skills, as well as the following book sets: Batter Up, Brawling, Lucky Looter, Urban Combat, Pistol, Enforcer, a second lot of Enforcer, Shotgun Messiah, Sniper, and Automatic Weapons. So those are the new loot bag options in 2.0. Just as a quick reminder, the following loot bag properties that we investigated in the 1.0 video are still holding true in 2.0. Loot bags cannot be destroyed by player actions or by zombie damage, including Frostclaw boulders. You can shoot through loot bags, they don't block any damage to zombies behind them. The only known way of accidentally getting rid of a loot bag is through falling terrain. If falling terrain turns into actual terrain right on top of a loot bag, this can cause the loot bag to despawn. Loot bags are set to remain for 1,200 seconds or 20 minutes of real time, which is not changed or reset if they are open or partially looted. It will always be 20 minutes real time unless you've modded the game, or loot bags will remain indefinitely if you're not nearby. Once the chunk in which the loot bag sits is unloaded, the timer for that loot bag is paused. The timer will restart though once you get nearer and the chunk is loaded again. Loot bag chances increase when fighting a wandering horde. Every 3 zombies killed, the 4% loot bag chance for all zombies in the wandering horde is multiplied by 15. Loot bag chances on Blood Moon hordes are multiplied by 25% every 12 zombies killed, which, given the 4% loot bag chance now for base zombies, should mean that loot bags are guaranteed every 12 zombies. Note that in my testing, this didn't quite hold true, although it did most of the time. I did have a few times where it crept above 12, but usually only to about 13 or 14. And finally, the Lucky Looter increase of 20% on the existing chance of loot bags should take your 4% chance to a 4.8% chance, and the 10% charge zombie to a 12, demos from 30% to 36%, and dire wolves from 50 to 60. In my testing, there's so much variation in the actual drop rate, even without Lucky Looter, that I found it, just like in 1.0, difficult to pin down exactly how accurate these numbers are, so take it with a grain of salt. Now, one last question that came up a lot after the 1.0 video was if it's possible to get an engine from a loot bag. I know many people have claimed, after thousands of hours of playing, to have never seen an engine come from a loot bag, so I thought I'd dive into this one to find out if it's possible. And I'm here to tell you that it is definitely possible, just not very likely. To get an engine, you need to successfully get the Category 4 section for blue bags, which has a 20% chance, or from a red bag at a 50% chance. Once you've successfully rolled for that, you've then got to hit the vehicle parts reward for that category. For blue bags, we have the following items: rare tools, weapons, dukes, cash, rare medical items, treasure maps, mods, vehicle parts, the night vision mod, and the helmet light mod. Each of these has a relative probability as shown, and given that we just want the vehicle parts, that's a 50 in 443 chance, so around 11.2%. For red, the group is almost exactly the same, but there's an extra rare books section which changes the numbers slightly, so the vehicle parts has a slightly lower chance at 50 in 493 or 10.1%. So putting those together, as it stands, you've got about a 2.3% chance of getting the vehicle rewards in a blue bag and a 5% chance in a red bag, which is pretty low, but still doable. Now, assuming that you do hit that category and hit the vehicle parts reward, you then have 6 options, of which only 4 contain the chance of an engine. However, here's where it gets even messier, as the probabilities are a curved probability based upon your loot stage. I can tell you, for example, that the bicycle parts at loot stage 39 and 40, this is a 100% chance of dropping, but by loot stage 68, that option is removed. So I'll ignore that for now. That leaves 5 groups, and your best chance of getting an engine out of it is once they are all equally possible, which occurs at loot stage 205 or higher, where you've then got a 4 in 5 shot at getting either the mini bike, motorcycle, 4x4 or gyro. So 80% plugged into the previous numbers, we're now at 1.8% for the blue bag and 4% for the red bag. Then lastly, assuming that you get one of those 4 vehicle part groups, you've now got a 1 in 5 shot of getting an engine, as each of the vehicle parts include the chassis, accessory, a wheel, the engine that we want, and a battery. So adding in that last 20% leaves us at 0.36% for the blue bag and 0.81% for the red bag, both of which obviously lower than 1% chance. So in theory then, at game stages above 205, you should have a bit under 1% chance of getting an engine in each red bag. Now since that sounds great in theory, and I can't just leave it there, I went and did some testing. And it turns out, on my 111th loot bag, this happened. So it's definitely possible, just not particularly likely, to get an engine from a blue or red loot bag. So that's the info on loot bags in 2.0. I hope you found it useful. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and consider subscribing if you'd like to see more 2.0 videos in the future. Thanks as always to my patrons for their massive support. Thanks to you for watching this video, and happy looting.